The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, or ICE, has come under a lot of additional scrutiny in recent weeks, especially due to reports of mass mistaken arrests. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on. Overreaches in its investigations, moving into areas to try to track people down that they hadn't previously. They seem to be emboldened and aggressive in a way they hadn't been previously, and thankfully the response to them has been strong as well. There have been a number of anti-ICE protests. ICE was actually put on trial in a DC protest about a month ago. And people are starting to think about ICE in a whole new way thanks to their terrible recent moves. And now we have Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who's introduced a new bill to attempt to pump the brakes a little bit on ICE. The Department of Homeland Security Accountability and Transparency Act would require Border Patrol and Immigration Enforcement agents to document every instance when they stop, search, or interrogate people. The bill is currently co-sponsored by Elizabeth Warren, Tom Udall, and Jeff Merkley. The law applies to all stops by agents who work for CBP and ICE. Now, under current law, agents from both departments have broad authority to stop and question people about their immigration status, especially inside of the 100-mile border zone. Agents can pull over cars and board vehicles to ask passengers about their citizenship if they suspect a person is not in the country legally. And then, by the way, that data doesn't really exist afterward. They can do that, and we don't necessarily have any idea of how often they're doing it or what the result of it is, who they're actually targeting, how much reason they had to do the stop. Gillibrand's bill would require the agencies to start collecting data every single time officers question someone about their immigration status when they're not at an airport or border crossing, so in sort of informal circumstances that have become much more common. They would need to report the time, date, and place of each stop, the basis for questioning someone, and the duration of the stop, among other details. The agents would also need to report information about permanent and temporary immigration checkpoints set up in the border zone. This would then be reported annually to Congress and made available to the public. And it's my belief that this is to serve two purposes. One, that after a year or two of getting this data, we'd have some idea of what's actually going on because it's been purposefully hidden in the shadows up until now. But two, if you require them to document all of this stuff, they're gonna do a lot less of it because that sounds like a B.
Yeah, so look, I know that this country, probably most countries, everything's black and white, and one side is always right and the other side is always wrong, and that's how people perceive it. But in the real world, it's not actually like that. So does this create more of a bureaucracy? Yes, it does, right? But there's a reason for it, because if you don't track things, well then folks are allowed to do things that are outside the scope of the law far easier. And we don't want them doing things outside the scope of the law. We don't want them pulling people over based, for example, on race. So for example, 2/3 of the country is covered by this 100-mile zone next to the border, which I'm amazed by. 2/3 of the population is, at least. And so they can go into the middle of New York or the middle of Los Angeles and they could say, all right, I'm pulling over all the Latinos. Now that's not legal, and you're not supposed to do that, but if they never document it, you'll never have evidence of it. So there's a reason why they create that bureaucracy, to make sure that all Americans are protected. And by the way, the other benefit of that is that then if they are following those procedures, when ICE boards a bus and asks for people for their papers, then you have a little bit more confidence that they might actually have a reason to suspect someone on the bus, and that their actions are more legitimate, which gives you more comfort in the rule of law. So you don't look at that and go, oh, they must be harassing people, they must be racist, they must be doing the wrong things. It might be because they really had someone that they were looking for, whether it was a fugitive or they had good reason to believe that they had crossed the border illegally.
Yeah, I completely agree with this legislation, and I love the fact, look, I think that the legislation itself is fantastic, and when you look at a broader context, consider the fact that on a county level, right, municipal level, social workers who work for counties have to do an insane amount of paperwork if they work for, let's say, the Department of Child Protective Services, right? And there's a reason for that. It's because you have this huge responsibility and you want to make sure that you're doing your job correctly, that you're treating people fairly, and you're following the law. And the same type of logic should be applied to something like ICE and stopping people and in some cases harassing them based on their physical appearance, which I think is happening and people are concerned about it. But the larger picture is the fact that people like Gillibrand are now proposing super progressive legislation. And while some people are hesitant to support them and skeptical about their intentions, it's still a good thing that we're moving the conversation to the left, which honestly, over the last couple decades hasn't really happened much in the country. Things have moved so far to the right.
Or ever, right? Yeah. I mean, the last 20 years, this moving to the left was not a thing, right? It just almost never ever happened, but now it is. Now it's not like they're going to win on this. Trump can veto it. There's still more Republicans in Congress, but this is how you begin to move the Overton window, how you begin to make progress. And to me, one other part of it that I really liked was that Gillibrand was being responsive to a press reporter about it on Vox, V-O-X, Vox, right? And whether you consider that a progressive outlet or not, that's really positive, because normally what happens in American politics is Republican legislators will be super responsive to anything said on Fox News. They say diamond and silk, and there's congressional hearings on both the House and the Senate. Diamond and silk, what happened to them on Facebook? Oh my God, I mean, it's a preposterous, and as we've shown, totally not factual claims about how the Facebook discriminated against them, et cetera, right? On the other hand, if you're a progressive media, you couldn't move a Democratic senator if your life depended on it. I mean, they got great joy out of spitting on progressives. Most famously, Rahm Emanuel calling progressives, retarded, and with an adjective thrown in, and so Democratic politicians historically have hated progressives and hated progressive media. So for a progressive media organization to write a story, then have a senator who was considered pretty establishment until recently to go, hey, you know what, that's such a good point. I'd like to introduce legislation about it. Whoa, that is fairly unprecedented in my lifetime.
Yeah, look, the reason I wanted to cover this is, one, I think that this would be a positive change, and I do think that it would help stop some of the worst excesses. Two is that I think, for the most part, 99 out of 100 bills that are proposed that are actually interesting don't get any coverage. At least partially because of what you said. It's unlikely to actually become law. They don't have any government power, so there's nothing they can do about it. But very often, we can get frustrated about the lack of policy specifics, proposed plans, having an agenda and all that. And that's 100% legitimate so long as it's true. But if the media isn't reporting on it, then how the hell would the people watching the shows actually know? They might well think that nothing is being proposed when it actually is. Now, all that said, while I think this is perfectly good changes, I mean, I would certainly go a lot farther. It's one thing to document what they're doing. It's another to rein it in specifically and say, here are things you are no longer allowed to do. Now, certainly there are limitations in terms of how much the legislature can constrain this executive branch department, but they could do more, I think. So I would say this is a good jumping off point. I'm glad that it starts the conversation, but I think that there's a lot more that can actually be done against ICE.
And by the way, it should be noted, Elizabeth Warren's a co-sponsor on this as well, and they're both fighting hard on it. And if you were understandably skeptical about Gillibrand's motives in the past, I hear you, and in a lot of ways I'm with you on that. But sometimes facts on the ground change so much that they begin to change reality. And the more she introduces progressive legislation after progressive legislation, the more she becomes progressive, and the harder it is to unwind those things. And then when she takes real actions, like saying she's not taking corporate PAC money anymore, well, then she gets to some degree untethered from the corporations and becomes an actual progressive.
Right, exactly. We have carrots and sticks at our disposal, right? So let's use the carrots when it makes sense. Let's use the sticks when it makes sense.
Yeah.
So once again, congratulations to Elizabeth Warren and Kirsten Gillibrand on great legislation proposed. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.